Americans spent over $11 billion on whiskey last year. A significant chunk of that money went to bottles that cost 3 times what they should. Premium packaging, heritage stories written by marketing teams, limited release hype manufactured in boardrooms, craft positioning from corporate factories. The whiskey industry has mastered the art of charging more while delivering less. The gap between price and value has never been wider in the whiskey market. Bourbon that cost $30 5 years ago now commands $80. Scotch that sold for $90 a decade ago pushes past $300 today. The liquid hasn't improved proportionally. The marketing has become more sophisticated at extracting premium dollars from trusting consumers. Today, we're revealing 11 famous whiskey brands are taking your money and giving you stories instead of quality. This is what nobody in the industry wants you to know before you hand over your credit card. Basil Hayden's. That tall, elegant bottle with the metal band around the neck looks like it belongs in a luxury cabinet. The refined label whispers sophistication. Gift shops at distillery tours push it as the perfect present for someone with discerning taste. Wedding registries include it. Corporate gift baskets feature it prominently. The sophistication is mostly water. Basil Hayden's is bottled at 80 proof. That's the absolute legal minimum for bourbon. Federal regulations don't allow anything weaker to carry the bourbon name. Basil Hayden's sits exactly at that floor, maximizing the number of bottles each barrel produces. Every point of proof reduction means more bottles per barrel and more revenue per production run. Here's what the elegant packaging doesn't tell you. Basil Hayden's shares an identical mash bill with Old Grandad. Same distillery, same recipe, same fermentation process, same yeast strains, same barrels aging in the same warehouses under the same conditions. Old Grandad bottled in bond costs around $25 at 100 proof. Basil Hayden's costs $45 to $50 at 80 proof. You're paying nearly double for the same bourbon with significantly more water added. The mathematics are brutal once you see them. Diluting high rye bourbon to minimum legal proof strips away the characteristics that make it interesting. The spice becomes a distant whisper. The complexity flattens into vague sweetness. The finish disappears before you register it arrived. What remains is expensive water with faint bourbon suggestions somewhere in the background. Former Beam employees have confirmed in bourbon enthusiast forums that Basil Hayden's exists as pure profit engineering. Take existing inventory, add water until you hit the legal minimum. Design packaging that appeals to gift buyers who judge quality by appearance. Triple the price. The target customer buys gifts for others and judges quality by bottle design rather than liquid content. That customer will never know they paid premium prices for diluted Old Grandad. If this saved you from wasting money on a bottle like this, the next brands on this list will matter even more. Subscribe. Premium aesthetics, budget bourbon, maximum markup. Profit margin optimization disguised as refinement. The price manipulation here is obvious once you know the mash bill connection. The next bottle uses a different trick entirely. Angel's Envy. Lincoln Henderson spent 40 years at Brown-Forman and created Woodford Reserve. After retirement, he launched Angel's Envy as his personal masterpiece. Port wine barrel finishing, father-son collaboration with his son Wes. Legitimate craft credentials from a genuine industry legend. Beautiful story, mostly irrelevant now. Henderson died in 2013. Bacardi acquired Angel's Envy 2 years later for an estimated $150 million. The marketing still features Henderson prominently. His photo appears on materials. His quotes appear in interviews. His legacy gets emphasized in every press release and brand communication. The founder has been dead for over a decade. A global spirits conglomerate headquartered in Bermuda makes every production decision. Corporate accountants set volume targets. Marketing executives determine positioning. Henderson's vision exists only in sales copy. Port barrel finishing became something different under corporate ownership. The technique adds sweetness, color, and complexity quickly. Bourbon that would need additional years in standard barrels achieves sellable character in months with port treatment. 6 months in wine barrels accomplishes what 2 additional years of standard aging might require. You're paying $50 to $80 for a production shortcut disguised as innovation. The port finish masks the youth of the base bourbon. The ruby tint suggests maturity the liquid doesn't possess. Former employees reported production pressure increasing dramatically after the Bacardi acquisition. Aging time shortened. Volume requirements expanded. Quality control loosened to meet demand. Henderson's artisan approach became corporate efficiency optimization focused on quarterly earnings. The port finishing technique isn't dishonest. Henderson pioneered it genuinely. The pricing is dishonest. You're buying a dead man's name attached to accelerated production designed to maximize corporate returns rather than honor his legacy. Angel's Envy charges premium prices for finishing tricks that mask younger base whiskey. The next brand charges premium prices for a bottle design. Dalmore 12. That stag head commands attention from across any liquor store. The heavy bottle feels substantial in your hand. The deep amber liquid glows through thick glass like captured sunset. Everything about Dalmore 12 screams luxury before you've tasted a single drop. The packaging alone costs more than many competing bottles invest in their entire presentation. The whiskey inside tells a considerably different story. Dalmore 12 costs $65 to $80 depending on your market and local taxes. For that price, you're getting a pleasant but unremarkable Highland single malt with orange peel, chocolate, and cherry sweetness. The finish is medium length. The complexity is modest. Nothing offensive reaches your palate. Nothing particularly memorable either. Compare it blind against $40 bottles from Glenfiddich or Glenlivet. Most drinkers struggle to identify which costs twice as much. The flavor profile is competent but entirely ordinary for the category. The sherry influence is pleasant but common across dozens of more affordable alternatives. What you're actually paying for is packaging and positioning, that stag emblem cast in metal, that heavy premium glass, that shelf positioning between truly expensive bottles that makes Dalmore look like the accessible luxury choice. The brand invested heavily in visual identity and later on liquid quality development. The strategy is intentional and executed with precision. Dalmore's higher expressions push into hundreds and thousands of dollars at auction. That establishes the brand as luxury. The 12-year rides that prestige wave while delivering entry-level Highland character dressed in premium clothing. Bartenders rarely recommend Dalmore 12 for its taste profile. They recommend it for customers who want something that looks expensive in their hand, something that photographs well, something that signals sophistication to observers. The whiskey performs adequately, the bottle performs exceptionally. Dalmore charges a luxury tax on average whiskey. The next brand charges for heritage that doesn't actually exist in the modern product. Blade & Bow. Diageo resurrected the Stitzelweller name with Blade & Bow. The marketing emphasizes legendary distillery heritage, Solera aging systems, and connections to bourbon's golden age when giants walked the rickhouses. The bottle design evokes vintage craftsmanship with deliberate retro aesthetics. The price suggests something special waiting inside. The reality is considerably less romantic than the storytelling implies. Stitzelweller closed in 1992. That legendary distillery hasn't produced bourbon in over 3 decades. Whatever magical stocks once existed have long been depleted or allocated to genuinely rare releases that cost thousands at auction. The institutional knowledge walked out the door when workers found other jobs. Blade & Bow contains bourbon sourced from various Diageo facilities, touched briefly by a Solera system that includes a small amount of older whiskey from the Stitzelweller era. That Solera connection is mostly marketing theater designed to justify the heritage positioning. The system adds trace amounts of aged stock to predominantly younger whiskey. Think of it like adding a teaspoon of your grandmother's soup to a fresh pot and calling it the original recipe. Technically connected, practically meaningless. You're paying $50 to $60 for the Stitzelweller name attached to standard Diageo production that could come from anywhere in their portfolio. Blind tastings consistently rank Blade & Bow below similarly priced bourbons with no heritage claims at all. Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, Evan Williams Single Barrel. The flavor is adequate. Light caramel, vanilla, mild spice, and a short finish that disappears quickly. Nothing justifies the premium. Diageo understood that bourbon enthusiasts romanticize Stitzelweller the way car enthusiasts romanticize muscle car factories. They built an entire brand around borrowed prestige from a closed distillery. The liquid connection is minimal. The price premium is substantial. Heritage bourbon pricing, modern-sourced bourbon delivery, marketing genius exploiting collector psychology. Blade & Bow sells a story more than a whiskey. The next bottle sells an entire country's reputation. Hibiki Harmony. Japanese whiskey became the most hyped category in spirits over the past decade. International competitions awarded top honors. Collectors drove prices skyward. Bars featured Japanese selections prominently. Hibiki Harmony positioned itself as the accessible entry point into that prestigious world. Gorgeous bottle design inspired by traditional craftsmanship, Suntory pedigree stretching back generations, global awards and critical recognition. The price tag followed the hype rather than the production costs or actual value delivered. Hibiki Harmony costs $70 to $100 depending on availability and local market conditions. For that money, you're getting a blended whiskey with no age statement whatsoever. The youngest components could legally be 3 years old. Previous Hibiki releases carried proud age statements. Harmony dropped them entirely as demand exceeded supply and aged stock became scarce. The flavor is delicate and refined. Honey, orange blossom, subtle oak influence, and a silky texture that feels distinctly Japanese in character. The blending shows genuine skill. The whiskey drinks lighter and softer than most Scottish competitors in similar price ranges. The problem is value relative to alternatives. Comparable blended whiskies from Scotland cost half as much or less and deliver similar complexity. Hibiki Harmony commands a significant premium purely because it carries the Japanese whiskey designation during a period of intense collector interest. Suntory recognized the demand surge created by international awards and whiskey blogger enthusiasm. They priced accordingly and aggressively. Limited supply and intense consumer interest allowed them to charge $70 to $100 for whiskey, with the production cost profile of a $35 blend. Japanese whiskey deserves its reputation for quality and attention to detail. The craftspeople create genuinely excellent products. Hibiki Harmony deserves its reputation for price inflation exploiting that broader category prestige. You're paying a hype tax measured in decades of accumulated reputation rather than what's actually in the glass you're holding. Geographic premium pricing reaches its peak with Japanese whiskey hype. The next brand represents premium pricing for genuinely terrible whiskey. Hudson Baby Bourbon. Tut Hill Town Spirits marketed itself as New York's first whiskey distillery since Prohibition. Farm-to-bottle innovation using Hudson Valley grain. Craft revolution bringing whiskey production back to the Empire State. Small barrel aging for distinctive character you couldn't find from Kentucky operations. The character is distinctively awful by nearly every objective measure. Hudson Baby Bourbon costs $50 to $60 per bottle. For that price, you're getting whiskey aged approximately 18 months in small barrels that independent reviewers consistently describe using words like solvent, nail polish remover, paint thinner, and chemical burn. These aren't exaggerations. Search any whiskey forum, and the consensus is remarkably unified. Small barrel aging sounds innovative until you understand the chemistry involved. Standard bourbon barrels hold 53 gallons and require years for proper maturation. The time allows chemical transformations that make whiskey pleasant. Hudson uses barrels as small as 3 gallons. Smaller surface area extracts oak flavor faster, allowing bottles to reach retail shelves in months instead of years. Speed comes with serious consequences the marketing doesn't mention. Fusel alcohols need years to oxidize into pleasant compounds your palate welcomes. Harsh congeners need extended time to transform into smoothness. Small barrels create superficial wood flavor without the chemical maturation that makes bourbon actually enjoyable to drink without wincing. William Grant & Sons acquired Tuttletown in 2010. Scottish corporate ownership has continued the small barrel approach because it maximizes production speed and profit margins. Inventory turns faster. Cash flow improves. Quality suffers. Hudson Baby Bourbon charges craft premium prices for whiskey that tastes unfinished because it essentially is unfinished. The marketing sells innovation and New York authenticity. The liquid delivers harsh immaturity. Consumer reviews consistently rank it among the worst whiskeys available at any price point anywhere in America. Hudson represents premium pricing for genuinely bad product. The next brand represents premium pricing for product from a completely different country than advertised. Whistle Pig, Vermont farmhouse on every label, rolling green hills in every advertisement and social media post. Farm-to-bottle rye whiskey crafted in New England tradition by passionate local artisans. The packaging sells pastoral American craft with gorgeous photography of rural authenticity. For years, 100% of Whistle Pig came from Canada. Founder Raj Bhakta purchased aged Canadian rye by the tanker truck from industrial distilleries, shipped it across the border to his Vermont property where photographers captured beautiful imagery, bottled it in a picturesque barn that looked exactly like what craft whiskey buyers wanted to see. Sold it as Vermont craft whiskey at $80 to $300 per bottle to customers who believed the pastoral marketing. The Vermont farm existed as physical real estate. The distilling did not exist as actual production for years, while the brand established itself and built consumer loyalty. Consumer lawsuits challenged the geographic deception in 2015 when journalists started asking uncomfortable questions. Whistle Pig's response was quietly changing label language from implying Vermont production to stating Vermont bottling. No settlement paid, no wrongdoing admitted, just silent adjustments to label copy and continued sales at premium prices. Whistle Pig eventually built actual distilling capacity in Vermont after the lawsuits drew attention. Current production includes some Vermont-made whiskey aging in their facilities. Those 10-year, 12-year, and 15-year expressions currently on shelves could not possibly come from Vermont operations that started so recently. The math doesn't work. Boss Hog Limited releases cost $500 or more for what is functionally Canadian industrial rye whiskey, with Vermont labels and pastoral farm photography creating perceived authenticity. You're paying craft premium prices for commodity sourcing dressed in pastoral marketing. The Vermont story justified the markup. The Canadian reality hidden behind it doesn't support those prices. Geographic fraud at premium prices. The next bottle adds an actual boat ride to justify its markup. Jefferson's Ocean, aged at sea. Barrels loaded onto cargo ships crossing international waters, months spent traversing oceans through temperature swings and maritime conditions, saltwater air surrounding the wood, constant motion agitating the liquid inside. Revolutionary aging innovation that produces unique characteristics impossible to achieve through standard land-based maturation. That's the marketing. Science disagrees considerably. Jefferson's Ocean costs $80 to $100 per bottle at retail. Standard Jefferson's Reserve costs $40. The liquid in both comes from the same MGP sourcing in Indiana. The identical mash bills, the identical production methods. The only measurable difference is a boat trip across the ocean and the compelling story that boat trip enables. Independent laboratory analysis reveals minimal detectable chemical difference between ocean-aged and land-aged bourbon from Jefferson's. Blind tastings conducted by whiskey advocate, serious bourbon bloggers, and competition judges repeatedly fail to identify which Jeffersons crossed oceans versus which traveled by truck to retail shelves. The romantic marketing claims don't survive basic chemistry examination. Temperature swings on cargo ships don't exceed variations in Kentucky rickhouses during summer months, when thermometers regularly exceed 100 degrees in upper warehouse floors. Maritime humidity doesn't surpass Kentucky's legendary moisture levels that bourbon makers have utilized for centuries. Ship motion agitates barrels, creating additional wood contact. Standard warehouse barrel rotation that every Kentucky distillery performs accomplishes similar effects without oceanic shipping costs. Ocean aging adds logistics costs that have nothing to do with flavor improvement. Ship cargo space rental, maritime insurance premiums, loading and unloading labor at multiple ports, customs documentation. All those costs get built into every bottle you purchase. You're paying for transportation and storytelling rather than flavor transformation. Pour Jefferson's Ocean next to standard Jefferson's Reserve in identical glasses. The color matches. The nose delivers identical profiles. The flavor mirrors completely. No ocean characteristics appear. Jefferson's found a profitable way to double prices with a marketing gimmick that chemistry doesn't support but consumers believe. The next brand found a way to market old, mediocre stock as rare, collectible whiskey worth chasing. Orphan Barrel. Diageo created Orphan Barrel to monetize forgotten barrels supposedly discovered in various warehouses across their global portfolio. The marketing positions these releases as rare treasures unearthed from bourbon's storied past. Limited availability creates urgency. Unusual age statements suggest exceptional maturation. Collectible bottles appeal to enthusiasts building impressive home bars. The reality is corporate inventory management dressed in the clothing of romantic discovery. Orphan Barrel releases typically cost $80 to $150 for whiskeys carrying age statements of 15 to 26 years. Extended aging sounds impressive until you understand why those specific barrels sat forgotten in warehouses while everything around them got selected for premium products. Not every old barrel becomes exceptional with time. Some become over-oaked and tannic. Some develop unbalanced profiles that master blenders reject. Some simply age poorly and turn into wood extract rather than refined whiskey. These barrels weren't hidden treasures waiting patiently to be discovered by lucky warehouse workers. They were inventory that didn't meet blending standards for flagship products like Crown Royal or Bullet over the years. They got passed over repeatedly. Rather than discarding them or selling at bulk prices, Diageo created an entire brand around repackaging lesser stock as rare finds worth collector prices. Reviews of Orphan Barrel releases are notably inconsistent across expressions and batches. Some receive genuine praise from critics. Many receive criticism for being overwooded, one-dimensional, or lacking the balance that age should provide. The quality varies because the sourcing was never curated for excellence. It was curated from rejects. Diageo understood that bourbon collectors fetishize age statements and scarcity above almost everything else. Orphan Barrel exploits that psychology brilliantly by presenting production leftovers as limited discoveries worth hunting. The beautiful packaging and compelling names like Forged Oak, Lost Prophet, and Rhetoric create perceived value where the liquid often falls short of expectations. Corporate inventory liquidation priced as collectible releases. Marketing genius. Questionable value. The next bottle commands even higher prices through pure prestige inflation. Macallan 18. 2 decades ago, Macallan 18 Sherry Oak cost around $90 at retail. You could find it on shelves reliably. Today, it commands $300 to $400 depending on your market and local demand. The whiskey inside the bottle hasn't fundamentally changed. The production methods remain consistent. The price has quadrupled while the liquid stayed essentially identical. Macallan understood something powerful about luxury marketing that most distilleries missed. Scarcity and prestige can justify price increases that bear no relationship to production costs or quality improvements. They methodically positioned themselves as the Scotch equivalent of fine wine. complete with auction records making headlines and celebrity associations creating aspirational demand. The strategy required discipline. Rather than expanding production to meet demand, they constrained supply deliberately. Limited releases became the norm. Allocated bottles created hunting culture. Auction houses established records that made news coverage. The liquid is genuinely excellent. Rich sherry character from quality Spanish oak casks. Dried fruit and toffee sweetness. Warm baking spice. Long, satisfying finish. The 18-year age statement reflects real patient maturation in expensive wood. The price reflects something entirely different from production quality. Macallan invested heavily in brand positioning rather than capacity expansion. Demand increased dramatically. Supply stayed deliberately constrained. Prices followed accordingly with minimal resistance from buyers conditioned to expect increases. Compare Macallan 18 Blind against Glendronach 18, Glenfarclas 18, or Aberlour 18. All offer comparable sherry-matured Highland character. All cost significantly less. The flavor gap doesn't justify the price gap by any reasonable measure. You're paying for prestige. Macallan charges $300 because the market accepts $300 without pushing back. The brand built such powerful prestige that quality becomes secondary to status signaling. Buyers purchase what the bottle represents at dinner parties rather than what it contains in the glass. Prestige inflation executed perfectly. The whiskey delivers quality. The value proposition delivers disappointment. The most overpriced bottle on this list makes Macallan look almost reasonable by comparison. Johnnie Walker, Blue Label, the pinnacle of mainstream whiskey marketing. That iconic blue bottle sits behind every hotel bar, airport lounge, and upscale steakhouse in America. Blue Label represents success in liquid form. It's the bottle executive's order when the company expense account pays. The gift that signals serious respect to recipients. The celebration pour for promotions and milestones. It costs $180 to $250 per bottle. The liquid inside doesn't justify anywhere near half that price. Blue Label is a blended Scotch whiskey. Premium blends typically marry exceptional single malts with quality grain whiskey to create something balanced and approachable. Blue Label accomplishes this competently. Soft smoke character, honey sweetness, creamy texture, clean finish that doesn't challenge or linger. The problem is context and comparisons. Blind tastings consistently fail to distinguish Blue Label from blends costing $60 to $80. Whiskey experts routinely rate Green Label, a discontinued then revived expression from the same company, as more complex and interesting at less than half the price point. Diageo positioned Blue Label as the ultimate status pour through decades of intentional marketing. The targeting focuses on corporate expense accounts and luxury gift buyers rather than flavor enthusiasts who actually evaluate what they're drinking. The blue bottle photographs beautifully in social media posts. The name carries instant recognition at any business dinner. The price signals importance to observers who notice such things. Johnnie Walker Blue Label is engineered for people who want others to see what they're drinking and draw conclusions about success. The smoothness is intentional and market-tested. Nothing challenging reaches the palate, nothing memorable either. Just expensive-looking liquid that impresses observers who don't know whiskey well enough to question the value. For $200, you could buy 3 exceptional single malts that would genuinely expand your understanding of Scotch whiskey. Or 2 bottles of genuinely great bourbon. Or 1 bottle of allocated rye worth hunting. Blue Label delivers pleasant blandness wrapped in luxury positioning, the whiskey equivalent of a designer logo on a basic product. You're paying for the brand recognition and status signaling, not the bottle's contents. Blue Label ranks #1 because it represents everything wrong with premium whiskey pricing in concentrated form. The gap between cost and value is wider than any other bottle on this list. Millions of buyers worldwide pay luxury prices for marketing genius rather than distilling excellence every single day. Your whiskey budget deserves better than stories dressed as quality. Before your next premium purchase, research the actual production behind the glossy packaging. Read reviews from sources without advertising relationships clouding their judgment. Ask bartenders what they actually pour for themselves when the shift ends. Check if that craft distillery actually distills anything. Look up who owns the brand now versus who founded it. The whiskey industry counts on consumers trusting labels over liquid, brand stories over blind tastings. Every bottle on this list proves that trust can cost you serious money while delivering genuinely disappointing value. The information exists right now. The choice is yours. Which bottle on this list surprised you most? Drop your honest answer in the comments below.